You're tuned into the Changing Winds podcast where bloodlines speak, bones remember, and no stories ask for permission to be told. I'm Ilanchi Mahli. Pull up a chair or keep walking. I don't give a damn. Hello, everyone. We're finally live on this live stream that was supposed to take place Tuesday. Welcome, everyone. This is the last episode for season 1. And if you haven't read the poem or watched the poem video, I've decided to read it tonight and then go into talking about why I wrote it, and looking forward to next season, and hope that I can be some inspiration to some of y'all. If you notice, I'm not tied to a mic today. I finally got some mics. So without further ado, because this has been a kind of a crapshoot of getting it done. So anyway, this is my reading of Bones and Bloodlines. Bones and Bloodlines. They told me who I was supposed to be, and then took it away. Told me to pray and to follow, but left me to struggle alone. They said my faith should save me, but it only chained me deeper. Whispers of guilt and dark corners, while I lost track of the person I was. They told me to find my roots, to reconnect, to claim my history. But the moment I knocked on the door, they slammed it and said, "You're not enrolled and you don't belong." I wore my scars like tapestries, a map of every lie that they fed us, every story they tried to silence, every ancestor who cried out. Still, they refused to see me. Don't matter that I cared. The same drumbeat in my veins, the same song in my throat, the same dust on my feet. Did not matter. I had the proof, and they wanted paper. I looked around and saw my family, all in different rooms of the same house, some with keys, some locked out. All of us holding the same old photo, names sprawled in the margins. Who decided this was normal? Who said that it was okay to choose which child of an ancestor gets to stay and which one is left out in the cold? No ceremony, no blanket, and no tribe. But I see you, all of you, I know this is an ache. Who carry it in your chest, who whispers your people's name in the dark and wonders if they hear you. This is not the end of one story, but it is the start of a war cry. Because they can't bury us in unmarked graves of not enough. And they can't silence our drums forever. Season 1 was my truth, my call to break the chains, reclaim what was stolen, to honor what tried to erase. Excuse me, guys. We stand here now, bones and bloodlines, unashamed and undeniable. If you ever have been told you do not exist because someone else said so, raise your voice higher, beat the drum louder. Let this be the final note of a season that refused to lie. We are the echoes of thought they hoped would fade, but still we rise. They keep their list and their hollow apologies. They keep our hearts and stories. We'll keep those. Our ancestors never left. Season 1 may close, but our fight doesn't. And now you know, now you've seen, this is the end, and it's only the beginning. The drumbeat calls. Do you hear it? I have my whole life have tried desperately to be a light for people that get turned down because of a technicality. For the longest time, I try to censor myself. I thought that censoring myself would make people respect me more. You see, when I was growing up, I was a loudmouth, but I did it in a way that was kind of strange. I'm going to have a poem coming up. If you can't tell, I was in theater. I could never remember my lines. I'd get on stage and just freeze up. Just freeze up. And I didn't know why. In the hallways, I could goof off and have fun, be my own person. But as soon as I stepped into those classrooms, I just froze. I don't know if it's because it was the teacher's grounds. I don't know. I really don't. And tonight isn't just about history. It's personal to me because I wanted to break down what bloods and bone lines mean. And why our identity was stolen. It wasn't fair on any situation at all. And I so desperately wanted to reclaim, and that's what I'm doing. Is I'm reclaiming the things that matter to me and to you. And you come to my channel and you like my stuff. You may not agree with me on a lot of things, and that's fine. But there's two things that we all have in common. We have the bones in our body and our bloodlines. That's what we are. I've told y'all this before too. DNA has a weird thing about it, and I feel it because I've looked at it so many times. And I quite honestly believe it passes down memories. Because what is DNA? Let's see. What is it? Is it just something random that you get and it gives you blue eyes and blonde hair or dark skin or light skin? Long, short hair, curly, straight, red hair? What does it do? What does it do? Its function is to pass down information from your mother, from your father, and from your great grandparents. Now, it doesn't come from your aunts and uncles, but their memories go to their grandchildren. You following me? That's what it does. And I will never, ever tell somebody that they're remembering something wrong. And for you guys out there that think just because I'm atheist, I don't have a soul, or whatever, or even atheists that, and I'm not knocking anybody, but there's a truth in a lot of things, and there's a whole shitload of stuff that's wrong. And you ever had deja vu? Like, what the hell? That's gonna be another poem I've wrote for the second season. But what the hell? You know, we get these little tidbits of information, and we don't know where it's from. It's from your family, your past loved ones. It's from them. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna sound weird coming the way I'm gonna put it, but I'm gonna say it this way. The Bible, okay? There's things in there that are just ridiculously wrong. And not just wrong, but to me, immoral. The people writing those books, they were trying to explain something that they could not explain. And a lot of people have used it for fear. They've used it for fear. I've spoke to on things about ancestry and bloodlines and things like that. Now, I'm very proud of my native blood. Just because the tribe doesn't say, I am very proud of it. And I have always been proud of it. And I look at it like this because I've had so many different things that could not be explained. Like I said, a DNA is a transfer and a mixture of your mother and your father. It's a mixture of your grandparents and your great great grandparents and your great 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 grandparents and so on. Who I believe is my great grandfather that was first mixed with Native American blood. And that information has been transferred to me. Yes, it was a different time back then, and I get it. And I understand why they had to do what they had to do to survive. And I'm having to do the same thing. I have been cooped up in a shell for the last 20 years. Like I said, high school, I get into a classroom, I was a different person. Get out in the hallways, I was crazy. I did stuff all the time. I hope my mic isn't blowing y'all's ears out. Let me turn it down a little. Maybe that will help. There we go. But what I'm saying is, and then my 20s hit, and I was in no shape, form, or fashion ready for life. And I want to say it was, and I'm not talking bad about my mom, okay? And I'm not talking bad about my dad. My dad could not read or write. The only thing that he could do was write his name. And the first time I ever saw my dad's signature, I had to confirm it was his signature by one of my cousins. And I said, I thought my dad could not read or write. And he said he couldn't. The school bus came, he ran. He ran from the school bus. But on my birth certificate, it is clear, pretty, and legible on my birth certificate. Some of y'all may know that I do not carry my dad's last name as Colbert. I do not. I carry my brother's dad. Which, that's always been a thing on me because my dad and my dad's side of the family was very important to me. My mom's too, but the people that on my mom's side, they know. They know who they are. They knew who they were. Those were on my mom's side. I didn't care about her dad. My nanny, on the other hand, I did. But my dad's side, except for my Aunt Pat. And when that whole side of my family, I knew they were all gone, I think I went through a very deep mourning for it. Because I didn't have their answers anymore. I had to turn to something and find it for myself. In the Native community, look, there's blood quantum, there's your 236th percent. It doesn't make a damn a difference. Nobody's 100% anything. Caucasian, what people would call me. I'm only 50 something percent of it. I'm not full Caucasian. You're not full Caucasian. We're not. And being Caucasian is a thing in itself. My Irish and Scot stuff. I mean, but here's the thing. Bones and Bloodlines was something I wrote because, quite honestly, it's true. Who the hell gives you, me, or anybody else the permission to tell you who the hell you are, tell me who the hell I am, tell John, Jack, and Jill down the road who they belong to? It doesn't freaking matter. You're a human being. And a lot of people will knock me for this, but I don't really care. There's atheists that will say stuff about Christians, and Christians will say stuff about atheists, and then there's Christian versus Christian, atheist versus Buddhist. Look, we all have titles, and we think that that's what we are. We are so much more than a title. So much more than a title. I'm gonna say this too, and Steph will verify this. Love is more than what everybody thinks it is. Caden, that one. I've told him stories, told him how wild I was. And hi, dear. There goes Stacy, y'all. Hi. There she went. But Caden's been talking to a girl, or actually been dating. Turned 16 this year. Good God. Anyway, and he's like, and I mess with him all the time. And he's like, Dad, I know what lust and love is. You know, I wasn't the person to wait. I wanted to. Here's the thing. Yeah, I went to church. I worked for Chick-fil-A, but I said in my longest term, I was not going to wait. I wasn't going to wait because I'd seen so many people, several, and wrote uh, I wrote a poem for two girls I went to school with. It'll be dropping in next season. It's already, no, it's not. I don't have it yet. But anywho, uh, they passed away in high school, and they were very, very Christian, unlike me. I mean, I was, but that was one of the things I wasn't gonna know. But I'll tell you this: I was different in the halls. I was different in the school, in the classrooms. I was different at my house because my aunt was so darn strict on me. You can ask Stacy. I am not strict. I am not strict at all. See, there's her hand. Ah! But you can ask her. I am not a strict dad.
She ain't. He ain't.
I used to be very hard on them. And that little no, baby, I got tea. Oh. That girl right there was the one that broke me. Mm-hmm. She broke me. She may not be my blood, but she knows that daddy means business.
And sometimes I try to calm you down when you're mad.
Yeah, she acts just like me when she's mad. She'll go, shut up. Like, okay. But that girl right there changed. Well, Caden and Thomas did too. But it took her to make me see how of a jackass I was. And it was just from the shit that I've been through in my life. If people, and you can imagine, you go through crap. Bye, baby. Bye. Tell them bye. Bye. But that's what love does. She's not my blood, but she's my bloodline, and she's my bones. My kids are the most important thing in my life. I'm going to bring this up because I have to. I have a daughter, an older daughter. I had her when I was 19, right out of high school. And I'm going to tell you this story because I think it needs to be said. Kids would think they could run over me. back then. And with me working at Chick-fil-A, I kind of had that demeanor of, and y'all are going to hear this, my nickname in high school was JC. And when I was in high school, or from the time to, I don't even, fifth, sixth grade. Yeah, it was sixth grade. People called me James. Like people that didn't, you know, not in family, they just called me James. And, excuse me, um, they called me James. Didn't fit me. Still don't to this day. Does not fit me. But my mom had to name me something. But I share my dad's middle name. We share our middle names together, Edward. And dad meant the world to me. My dad's side of the family meant the world to me. They meant it. And I had to do something to reinvent myself. So I got into a little bit of a pickle, and I was sent to a town. It's about 30 miles south of here. And I was like, what can I do and test what I can reinvent myself. So I came up with JC. You know, it's my real name and then my dad's last name, you know, C. And a lot of people would say, well, shouldn't your name be Jed instead of Jack? I was like, look, you're gonna call me JC, okay? That's my name. That's what I go by. Turned out that was the key. The first the first little step of evolution for me. You see this in wrestling, you see this in other genres of whatever. But when it's this kind of stuff and it's solid, I found my voice. At school, people called me JC. I was a normal kid. I go to work at Chick-fil-A because that's what I did. People pissed me off, and I was behind the. If I was mad that day, I was gonna be in the kitchen, and they they knew as soon as I walked to the door. But I've always been the person that's been behind the scenes. I know it don't seem like it that I'm the person behind the scenes because I'm doing YouTube, but that's where I shine. And for the longest time, that's was me. And part of that was just something I had to shed. I went to the military and they called me dire. I think that's where a lot of my problem came in at with PTSD and all that other stuff. I really do. Because it was forcing me to be somebody that I was in the past. And, you know, when that happens, it's pretty bad. My brother came back in my life and I had to take him on. He's still with me, even though he gets on my darn nerves. And he knows it, and he does the crap just to do it. When I really think he does. Um, you know, It is what it is. I hit my 30s, and Steph will tell you, my health went from down literally overnight. I had a panic attack, and I think this is where it comes from. I had a panic attack, and I I just froze. Then I had my dream. Well, I had the stepping stones of my dream job. There's a hospital here locally in town, and I always said, if I ever get to work at that hospital, I'll be something. And I was working in the kitchen, behind the scenes, because in a hospital kitchen is totally different than a restaurant kitchen. It's ran different. It's the grill is ran like an old school car, like a old school hot dog stand. You write like the orders are written down. There's no kind of at Chick-fil-A. I thought working in a hospital I'd be able to do it. There's one person during lunch behind the grill, two if you're lucky. Okay, I was basically the shop hand. Basically, the things that people would not want to do, I did. Oh, everybody meet Mr. Pickle. This is my stress relief. Um, Seriously, Briggs is live when I'm live. Oh well. Um, but I thought it was my dream job, and I was actually working towards that because something would break, and they'd be like, "Let me call maintenance to come do this, fix it." I said, "No, let me go down to maintenance, and I'll get the stuff that and they can tell me how to fix it." I saved that hospital. I don't know how much money, and I don't know how much they made. Honestly, I only made like $11 an hour. I know they made more than that because they were driving around. Well, anyways, my phone's going off now. But 2 weeks, no, yeah, it was like two weeks or something. It was really short, and the supervisor that I trusted the most kept saying, "Oh, things are about to change. Things are about to change. Things are about to change." He's an old army guy, and finally, the change happened, and he told me he knew the whole time. And I said, "Why didn't you tell me? You broke ranks when you didn't tell me." He's like, "Well, they didn't want me to tell because they knew you wouldn't approve of it because you just now." And I did. I just then put in for the long. I mean, I had health insurance and all that. I had all that, but I bit the bullet and decided to do the HSA or whatever. Anyway, and I said, "I just did this year." And he's like, "Well, you better spend it now while you can because they're going to take it away. We won't even have that benefit." And I said, "Danny, man, seriously, you could have gave me heads up. I would have." He's like, "Well, they also didn't want you to know because they knew that you wanted to." Well, my supervisor, my main boss, knew that I wanted to do something bigger in the hospital, and it didn't give me any chance to do it. I had been there 5 years, and she should have said, "Okay, This is what's going on behind the doors. If you want to make a decision on, but they were looking out for them because I was working the job for 5 people plus maintenance. Not to mention, when I got done with what I needed to do, and hospital kitchens, like I said, are different. You have to sanitize everything. And I was that person. You have to basically scrub the grates that's in the floor. You got to make sure they're spotless. And when somebody from the big wigs, from the big office or whatever come in, you have to, I mean, a can opener can't have a crust of crumbs on it. That's how much I had to do. Not to mention, I would do things that hadn't been done in years. I would break down the soda machine. I would break it down and clean every little crack in it. I would still have time. And my bosses didn't know how the hell I did it. And honestly, I don't know how I did it either. But when I was done with things, I could sit around and I could actually go down to maintenance. My boss Danny would let me, because he knew he'd come and check what I needed to get done. It was done, and it was done flawless. He's like, yeah, man, go down there and learn. Do whatever. He's like, I'll call you if I need you. Okay. I have my cell phone on me if you need me. I'd go downstairs and chat with maintenance and be like, hey, how does this work? How does this work? How does this work? I was always learning. Got a sign right there. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. And if you're willing to learn, nobody can stop you. And that's the damn truth. So, going back to Bones and Bloodlines, my dad was a painter. Painter by trade. Mom only had a 4th grade reading level. And she got, and YouTube, and don't be dinging me for this. She had schizophrenia and bipolar, and she got rheumatic fever when she was about 16. And what education she had, she lost her hearing. And my mom was the strongest woman that I've ever met. She wasn't supposed to have me or my brother. My mom, the one sitting behind me in the middle there, that's my mom. That woman, I used to have to take her to her daycare center before I went to school. And every morning she would get an onion and eat it like an apple in my car and just stink up my car. And I'm just like, Mom. And Dad only knowing how to write his name. And I've said this before, I think I do have some kind of those issues going on within me. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Pump, but I'll fill you up later. But as I'm saying, is it doesn't matter. What does matter is your bones and your bloodlines, and those are connections. Those are physical connections between you, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, and any other memory they have. It's passed down. People will tell me, oh, you're just all about your Native American stuff, and you damn right I am. But I'm I'm proud of all my ancestors. My great great grandfather, which if y'all have paid attention to any of my previous shows, you can go back and watch them. Uh, we don't really know because his what we believe is his sister is my great great grandmother and my great great aunt. She married and had my great grandfather and my mom, on my grandma's line, her dad. So yeah, I'm messed up there too. Go ahead, have your fun and your cake and eat it too. Okay, guys. Yeah, you know, I, you know, I'm from the South, and everybody thinks I'm from Arkansas. If you don't know that reference, go look it up. But what I'm saying is, we don't know. I have had visions about it, and like I said, on my great great aunt, great great grandma, on her death certificate, it has her dad listed. On my great grandpa John, it has a line in Colbert. Same mother on both death certificates. I don't know. And that's why I say I'm not going to sit there and deny anybody, because I can't get on my father's line on the male side. I can't get past. And that's the problem. And that's the problem of why I feel the way I do with my own tribe, the Chickasaw Nation. And yeah, I'm going to call you out. Okay? I got a poem waiting for y'all in season 2. I got a poem waiting for you. But what the main thing I wanted to say, and I apologize, Tuesday was not the day. And I have been fighting this technology for the last 4 days. And today I was like, you know what? This is how it's going to work. If you want to chat, there's a chat right there. Yeah, have at it. You will see things different this next season. Some of it started now, like if you watched before, there's something after my closing too tonight. But let me remind you, before people start judging me or judging you, and they say that you don't belong, you do. You matter. And whatever your belief, nobody has the right to tell you how to believe. And you don't have the right to tell anybody else the way that they should believe. Period. I've had people say, you shouldn't have earrings, it's against the Bible. You shouldn't wear things that women wear. So you're telling me that the style of my underwear matters? It's all bullshit. I'm going to wear my necklaces. I'm going to wear my rings, my bracelets. I'm going to be as flashy as I want to, or non-flashy as I want. I'm going to say what I mean, and what I say, what I do. And it may get people all handsy-pantsy with me. I just don't care. I am going to live authentically. And in my little world, this whole thing of YouTube and me sharing my life story with you and everybody else, and I've said some things that's wrong, and I feel bad for it. But I have to own up to it. So, that being said, there's been people in my own family that are my cousins. And at the beginning of this journey, I felt like it was my place to say something. I really shouldn't have. And I should have let it go out one ear and out the other, or in one ear out the other. And a lot of I'm gonna throw this out there. People will call you pretend about everything. You'll see what I'm talking about later on in season 2. I think when people actually see it, there's gonna be probably some people that don't like it, but I just don't care because it's who I am, and it is what it is. Anyway, guys, Bones and Bloodlines. None of us are 100% one thing. And remember, it's not your place to say anything about somebody else's heritage or their lineage or anything else. We have derogatory terms for things, and some of my cousins uh, will swap insults to each other, and we think it's funny. I want to say other things too that don't particularly go along with this, but you know, a lot of y'all have a story, and you have a story just like me, or something totally different. Guys, I'm here. I want you to share the stage with me. If you're Native American and you have the same story as me, or a different story, or you're from maybe you were from a tribe in Africa, and you left your tribe to do something better with your life. I want to hear that. Maybe your family comes from some other India, or Pakistan, or Iran, Iraq, Russia, China, Japan, Cambodia, any of those places. I'm going to say this with that. I had a lady, and I had one of my atheist shirts on. She was from some other, I don't know where she was from. She had to be from the Asian mix. And she said, well, somebody really must have hurt you in religion for you to be that way. And I didn't have the words to say, but I have the words to say now. A lot of people's religion, you're that religion because you were raised in that situation. I was born in the South, in the United States, in their brand of Christianity. Colonialism allowed for my Native American culture to be erased. First episode, first poem, first episode, second season. I wrote about it. That poem gives you a lot of information. And I'm not going to give it all out. You'll have to watch it. But I'm telling you this. Most people of other cultures was wiped out by Christianity. And I'm saying that because I believe it and I know it. A few weeks ago, I have peace flags hanging all in my front yard. I have prayer flags hanging. And they hand a template to me. It says, being Hindu, Buddhist, blah, blah, blah. And that's not the right way. You can only find the right way through Jesus. They were talking with my wife, and my wife did not grow up in this situation, in this culture. I was. They took the Native American culture and twisted and said, no, you have to be like us, the white man. Look, I ain't got very much hair, okay? If I did, and I did grow my hair out once, and it's too thin, and it gets on my nerves. So, got my beard going, okay? But they made the Native American men cut their hair, gave them Christian names, aka James is one of them. I'd be damned, okay? They put them in boarding schools and told them they had to learn how to farm and make money farming. And you have to own your land. What the hell? A Native American knew how to farm and hunt and fish and do everything. They did it all within harmony of each other and didn't have to have land ownership. Now I'm going to hit some of y'all rich folk. Y'all sit there and you have 1,000 acres. Your house covers about 40 acres of it. 50 acres of it, 60 acres of it, and the rest of it goes unused. You may go out there and play football every once in a while. You got have a pond. You have a damn pond on your lake, but you don't even go use it. You don't even know what's in there. Oh, I stocked it with this, like a few years ago. Well, do you go out there and pick? No, I don't. So you're sitting your happy butt on X amount of land that you own, which you don't own. You don't own it. Because old Mr. Uncle Sam can take it away anytime they want to. Eminent domain. Yeah, okay. We see how that works. But you sit there on this land that could be divided up X amount of times. And for what? So you can express how wealthy you are. My grandfather, George Colbert, his native name was Stubble, which means the ferryman man killer. He owned a ferry. And that's how he made his living. Y'all heard in the news about Texas parking and the defunding national forest and stuff like that. Who gives them the right to tell you how to provide for your family? Because technically, we should be all going and hunting and fishing and living communally. That's the way life is supposed to be. Yeah, I live in a cardboard box. We don't own the land, but we're buying the house. It's family. So it happens. But don't have to be about what and how much you have of something. I have a higher calling than doing what I do here. I just do it here because I enjoy it. I enjoy getting online. I enjoy seeing people actually look at my videos, and I see who's subscribed and I've seen who's not. And I've seen that I've had X amount of views by X amount of people, but nobody's doing it. They're not coming and subscribing. They're not leaving any comments. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're scoping me out or something. Maybe you work for somebody. But I don't really care on that, honestly. But look, I'm doing this for y'all guys. Really am. And I'm trying to give you and everybody else a voice. Because we all have a voice. If we use it in the right manner, it can change the world. And that's the truth. So, next week, or no, not next week. I'm taking next week off. First drop poem. Look on the season 2 playlist. It's there. When it drops, it's going to be Monday, 7 a.m. Then Tuesday night, I will do a live on it. Like I said, this season is going to be different. We'll see where it goes. You guys, I'll see you on the next one, guys. I'll have a nice one. If I can get my computer to work. Anyway, guys, love you. Take care. Ha ha. Thought I was going, didn't you? I'm really going this time. Y'all have a good one. Ilanchi Mahli here. I need a favor. Look, can you like it, dislike it, share it, or pretend you didn't see it? Just don't scroll in silence. Hit the subscribe, drop a comment, 7 words minimal to make them count. Oh, and if you get the taste, grab some merch. Links will be in the description.